No, not podcasting, man. I don't know. That shit sucks. That's lame as hell. Gavin Newsom podcasting and like glazing Charlie Kirk on his podcast is idiotic. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. And obviously the other side of the story is that Governor Gavin Newsom, who wants to become president, is using this to his advantage and trying to win favor nationally to become like a strong presence that actively trolls the Trump administration and become a strong presence that will, do these sorts of things in this massive state, in my state, in California. I do hate Gavin Newsom, make no mistake. I mean, there's some good things that he's done. There's some initiatives that he's actually expended a lot of social capital on, but there are so many other glaringly obvious problems that he is a clear-cut hurdle against solutions on. Homelessness is one of the major issues here, obviously. Another one is like Medicare for all in the state of California. So, he is taking advantage of this, but he is doing something that's good. And it's most likely working. Look, Governor Gavin Newsom's California redistricting proposal has a 22-point polling advantage, according to internal memo from Newsom's pollsters obtained by Axios. Holy Toledo! Harry Enton has some choice words for this. Newsom's social media strategy / opposition to Trump is working. He's gained millions of social media followers. Google searches for him are up like a rocket. He's now the front runner for the 2028 Dem nomination per the prediction markets. It's because Democrats want to fight her. Where is AOC? What are we doing? There is no world where the Democrats are actively demanding a fighter. There is no world where Gavin Newsom should take up that mantle, okay? Where's AOC? AOC, step up. Step up, step up, step up. Start batting. Start swinging. No, not podcasting, man. I don't know. That shit sucks. That's lame as hell. Gavin Newsom podcasting and like glazing Charlie Kirk on his podcast is idiotic. It's stupid. That is bad instincts. Gavin Newsom, however, getting a lot of play now not because of his like stupid, shitty AI memes or whatever the fuck. Gavin Newsom is getting a lot of play right now because he's doing this.
Been working in terms of generating attention, which is what he's trying to do, right? I mean, take a look here. Let's take a look right at the @GovPress office followers on X. That's, of course, where you get those sort of the account where Newsom posts those Trump-style mocking types of tweets. Get this. That account, get this, up 450% in terms of the number of followers since mid-June. And it's not just on Twitter, X, where Newsom is.
See, Twitter is real life. I was right. No, this is stupid. His Twitter trolling and getting a lot of Twitter followers is utterly irrelevant, okay? It's 75% of the goddamn platform is bot activity anyway. It doesn't matter. That part does not matter. I'm telling you right now, he's gaining national prominence in a favorable way because of the redistricting fight, because he's like constantly saying, Dirty Donald, I'm coming for you, like he's just like attacking Donald Trump. Okay, you're delusional if you think AOC is going to do anything. It's so fucking demoralizing that so many people on the left are clinging on to her as some sort of savior or a realistic contender on a national level. AOC could easily become a realistic contender on a national level if she was actively fighting, okay? If she was more prominent, if she was putting herself on the front lines, if she was actually issue specific, okay? Like, Gavin Newsom is the governor of California, and as the governor, he's in a very powerful position. And in that very powerful position, he's using every opportunity he can to present himself as like the number one guy to fight Donald Trump because he recognizes, he's a shark. He recognizes this is what people are demanding. People are begging for it. People are actively, they're desperate for it, okay? And we have two options. The Democratic Party currently is unimaginably weak. In that process, there will be a new leadership built within the Democratic Party's establishment structure. There's blood in the water. If it goes in the Gavin Newsom direction, that is really bad. Okay? And the reason why I say that's really bad is because Gavin Newsom is not a fighter on issues that matter. This is an issue that matters too, but I'm saying like he's using this as a way to make himself feel as though, make himself seem as though he's like the active fighter that will destroy the Trump regime or whatever. Okay? We need actual progressives, not someone like Gavin Newsom, who unironically has presented himself as a hurdle against progressive legislation in the state that the California voters consistently vote on through ballot measures that California state legislatures actively try to pass, and then Gavin Newsom vetoes. He is not a good national politician. He's not a good politician. I mean, he's a devastatingly good and charismatic politician in California, but that doesn't mean he's a good, he's going to do good policies. Okay? California is what? The 5th largest economy on the planet. What are we doing? What are we doing? We have tremendous wealth here. Why the fuck do we have so many developing nation style problems in this goddamn state? Look at the roads. Look at the infrastructure. Look at the homelessness crisis. Look at the housing market. It's the 4th largest economy on the planet. Like, it is a larger economy. California is a larger economy than Germany. Okay? What are we doing? What are we doing? We have all of the money here. Okay? Yeah, Newsom does progressive press conferences Monday through Thursday and then vetoes progressive bills on Fridays at 5, so few people notice. Exactly.
Gaining, even on TikTok and Instagram, his followers are up over 1 million since January alone. My goodness gracious. And more than that, Laura, more than that, what about Google? What about those Google searches for him? Get this, daily Google searches for Gavin Newsom up like a rocket. What are we talking about? Since June 1, up 1,300%. Compared to August 1st, look at that, up 500%. So the bottom line is, in politics, especially if you're thinking of entering in 2028, it's all about generating attention. And so far, Gavin Newsom has done a good job at generating attention.
The Democrats want it.
Do Democrats want it? Okay. Do Democrats want it?
Yeah. 2017, try to stop the GOP, 23%. 2025, 57%. 2017, work with the GOP for the Dems was 74%. Stop the GOP was at, or work with the GOP is at 42%. Let me explain something to you, okay? That number is so goddamn high still. That's a real holy Toledo moment. The idea that the Democrats still have 42% that say, hey, you know those guys that call us pedophilic interdimensional vampires? We should work with them to find a reasonable middle ground on how many Guatemalans we can execute in a concentration camp. That is so stupid. The only reason why Democrats still have this attitude is because of the years and years and years of propaganda that came from every fucking Dem adjacent outlet that has broken the brains of all of these Democrats that look at these polls, that fucking respond to these goddamn polls that go, yeah, I think, I like concessions. I like bipartisanship. No more bipartisan compromise unless it's the Republicans doing it. Okay? We're done. We're done with that. Stop with this bullshit. I cannot believe there's still 42% of the goddamn country within the Democratic base of support they still say, we got to work with the GOP. What do you mean? They're evil monsters. I need people to start hating the Republicans more right now. Two things that I demand from the Democrats. Start hating the Republicans more right now. Start hating Israel more right now, okay? No more of this shit. Fuck. God damn, what will it take, dude? Do you need to go directly into a fucking concentration camp at gunpoint by some fucking fat Hitlerite who wanted to get $50,000 as a starting bonus until you go, oh, I guess now we can hate the Republicans. I don't understand. Stop. Have you met a fucking Republican? Have you met Like, not even a Republican. Like, have you met a Trump supporter? Have you talked to a Trump supporter? Bro, you sound like you want this to happen. What do you mean? What do you mean? Have you spoken to a fucking fully fleshed out MAGA Trump loyalist? 99% of things that they believe and all of the legislative agenda items that they advocate for are born out of hysteria. It is the most deranged shit. Literally, you could solve so many issues if you would just make these motherfuckers read a book, any book, dude. Okay? A coloring book, a child's coloring book, please. It's crazy. We're just like, we're arguing on fundamentals. We're arguing on basics. They ran on a campaign where they were just saying, like, black migrants are eating cats and dogs, man. That's what they said. Like, you can't look to an audience of people that believe that shit and be like, we got to do bipartisan compromise. What do you mean? How do you do bipartisan compromise with a guy who is a carnival barker? How do you do bipartisan compromise with a guy who sounds like one of the black Hebrew Israelites screaming at people at a subway station? You can't do that. What do you mean? Oh, we got to take him seriously. We got to hear him out. We got to find a middle ground, you know? Brain dead chatters who think wish casting is real honestly can't imagine living in reality. Pretending things are good makes them worse, not better, chat. Yeah, there's like the Republicans are actively going, we need the orphan crushing machine. And Democrats are like, maybe we crush half the orphans. No orphan crushing machine. Why are we spending money on the orphan crushing machine? What the fuck? Like, people have completely lost the plot, okay? They've lost their minds. I feel like they're so servile to the way things are, where they're just like, I don't know what to do, man. These guys just believe this shit. No, there is no middle ground, man. Republicans never advocate for a middle ground. I have not heard from a single Republican politician or a single fucking MAGA Trump loyalist cultist that, like, they need to do bipartisan compromise with the Democrats. Like, can we have, like, there's no Republican that's running around being like, can we have some transgender athletes, please? I am a reasonable Republican. I believe maybe some trans athletes should be allowed to participate in high school sports. No, none of them. There's not a single one. Nobody goes, hey, can we be reasonable, please? It doesn't happen. So why the fuck are the Democrats constantly in a state of retreat and constantly in a state of panic? And they're the ones who are going, yeah, actually, you know what? We shouldn't let any trans people participate in high school sports or whatever the fuck. It's so dumb. Bipartisanship only will happen when the Republicans know that the actual counterbalance against growing fascism in this country is designed in a way to actively fight back against whatever the fuck these dipshits are doing. They're never going to concede. They're never going to compromise. Stop trying to compromise. Stop trying to apologize ahead of time. Stop trying to compromise ahead of time. This has been my argument consistently. Okay? It's so stupid. Democrats have basically deluded themselves into thinking that this kind of bipartisanship is actually good, and it feels like you're actually winning if you just take on your opposition's point of view. They're going to get their legislative agenda accomplished, so then you will feel less bad because you wanted it too, I guess. Do you want it? At a certain point, you have to remind yourself, like, do I want this? Do I want the military in D.C.? Do I want ICE agents kidnapping my neighbors and ripping families apart? Do I want concentration camps like Alligator Auschwitz to be propped up all around the country? Do I want any of that? Do I want 10% of it? Do I want 20% of it? My answer is no. This is why I have a lot of smoke for the Democrats too, because they delude themselves into this position where they're like, well, let's just get like 20%. No, 0%. Zero alligator Auschwitz. None of that. What the fuck are we doing? Fight back.
I think is the trend line that I think says it all. Democrats want their leaders to what? Try to stop the GOP or work with the GOP? You go back to 2017, you see here, work with the GOP took the cake at 74% compared to just 23% who said to try and stop the GOP. But now I'm going to come over to your side of the screen, Laura. Look at 2025. I'm coming as close as I can. 57% say they want the Democratic leaders to try and stop the GOP compared to just 42% who say they want them to work with the GOP. That is a major shift. What are we talking about here? Some quick math up here is 34% rise in terms of the percentage of Democrats who want their leaders to try and stop the GOP. So no wonder.
Yeah, there's only one reason why Newsom is so popular right now, because he was unpopular when he started his podcast shit. Okay? And his popularity was actually getting worse when he started his podcast shit. People were mad at him for fucking hugging and kissing Charlie Kirk and like Steve Bannon. The reason why he's popular now is because he's the only prominent Democrat politician who's showing a sliver of fight against Trump. Has nothing to do with policy. If AOC herself gets arrested at a pro-Palestine rally, she will literally win in 2028 and 2032, except her political instincts fucking suck and she's not willing to do what needs to be done to get the job done. Yeah. And it's not even just like a pro-Palestine rally. She can do that. That's an immediate boost. Okay? But she could do that for ICE kidnappings. She could do that for any number of different things. Okay? I think our progressive Democrats should be looking to Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene and their tactics, okay? Their tactics of not being afraid to draw controversy from time to time with bold messaging bills. I'm not saying they should be talking about like Jewish space lasers, okay? But they should be looking to what they do to create anger and use the momentum that already exists. Use the anger and resentment that people already feel in their hearts to their advantage, to point the finger of blame at the actual outlets that are causing this harm. Corporations, billionaires. Be more uncompromising. Be unafraid to lead. This is the reason why Zoran was successful. Okay?
Gavin Newsom. He's looking at this polling. He's saying, I can generate attention. This is where the Democratic base is. And right now, he seems to be following the Democratic base.
Why? For 2028?
For 2028. That is exactly why. And I think the question is it working? Is it working? Well, let's take a look at the betting markets. I think this gives away so much of it. Okay, the chance of being the 2020.
Dude, the situation is so dire too. Like the fact that we rely on the betting markets to do political analysis, like serious political commentary is happening at the point of betting markets. Like that is so devastating to me. I don't know. I've been ringing the alarm bells on this shit for a minute now. And it's just, I was talking with someone in the industry about this recently, where it's like, there's a couple forces that are so unimaginably wealthy that you just cannot overcome. And they have forcibly, by way of money, been able to infiltrate normal society, polite society. One of those forces is like the Gulf states, Saudi Arabia and UAE immediately come to mind. Their charm offensive is so successful because they just dump entire truckloads of money in the direction of anyone that will normalize and anyone that will like go to Saudi Arabia or the UAE. So it's like impossible to go against that at this point. Sports washing is far, far too powerful a force to deal with. And the other side of the story is gambling websites, specifically cryptocurrency backed gambling websites, all the way from Stake to Poly Market and all these other like institutions. They are holding on to any kind of influence they can by way of money. They just like dump boatloads of money in the direction of people, and most people eventually give in. They go, all right, fuck it, like I'll take it. Yeah. Yeah. It's not that everyone is transgender and everything's computer. It's actually everyone is gambling. Everything's Saudi Arabia.
Democratic nominee according to the prediction markets. Look at where we were on June 1st. We basically had a clown car for first. Newsom, AOC, Buttigieg, 11%, 10%, 8%. But look at where we are now. Look at this. Look who's jumped up all the way up to 24% chance, about a 1 in 4 chance of getting the nomination. Gavin Newsom. AOC staying pretty steady at 13%. And then, of course, we have Pete Buttigieg, who has stayed absolutely steady at 8%. So at least at this particular point, the prediction markets are saying, yes.
It's too bad Chris Murphy isn't more charismatic and ambitious. He is ambitious. He's not charismatic. His politics are centrist enough to speak to the masses. No, let go of this idea that you have to be a centrist to speak to the masses. That's bullshit. Make a convincing argument, please. The notion, every Democrat has this in their heart, dude. I feel like this is a major hurdle, okay, for the average Democrat voter. The average liberal still has this weird, distorted version of reality. The notion that you have to be a quote-unquote centrist to actually win the largest number of votes. That is bullshit. Look at Donald Trump. Was he a centrist? Fuck no. He won twice. There is no world where you have to be a centrist to win. You can be a radical as long as you communicate that your ideas are not really all that radical at all. It's actually going to help people. That's it. Stop. That is a lie that liberal media has told you for years and years and years. Okay? Stop believing this shit. You don't believe mainstream news resources when it comes to talking about Israel. You understand that they are behaving in an indecent manner for an alternative reason, okay? For a cynical reason. So why the fuck do you still believe it when they have told you for decades that like centrism is the way, third way neoliberalism is the way, we have to hug and kiss the Republicans and that's the best way to do it? When Kamala Harris got fucking destroyed by Donald Trump, who was very much not a centrist at all, who said fuck the institutions, fuck the establishment. Even though he was president, he was still able to present himself as like a figurehead that was outside of the boundaries of American politics. And people responded to him again in a positive manner. They fucking voted for him again. Liberals have MSNBC pundit brain because they think it makes them seem smart. It doesn't. I think it makes them seem very dumb. It makes me incredibly frustrated when I hear regular ass like voters present this as a viable political movement too. Like the notion that being nominally better, marginally better than the Republican Party is actually the best method of winning elections, when in fact it's been a demonstrable failure. Okay. And not only has it been a demonstrable failure, but like you don't sound smart at all. You just sound like a fucking loser. There are fantastic examples of this being false. Okay? There are people who have been able to successfully disprove this narrative. Zohran Mamdani is one that I can point to, luckily, and now hopefully there will be even more. Use the momentum of instability within the Democratic Party to run better candidates. Organize in red states too.
This strategy is paying off. Of course, the key question is, will this actually work when you're trying to actually, votes are being cast and counted? And more than that, will it work for a general electorate? Well, it's early days yet. We'll have to wait and see. But so far, Gavin Newsom has done a pretty gosh darn.
Like, this is something that I talked about within corporate culture too. When a corporation is like legitimately invested in a social mission, like Ben and Jerry's, you can tell, okay? There's a benefit to it. It helps with the marketing as well. But you can tell when a company is like legitimately invested in the values that they're advocating for. Whereas on the other side, you can tell when a company is just simply going along with the meta and leaning into certain social messages because they feel like it'll be beneficial for marketing purposes in a disingenuous manner. Target is a great example of this. Politicians are no different, okay? If a politician is at the mercy of what they perceive is people moving in the direction of like right-wing sentiment and right-wing culture wars, and they just go along with it, they are going to look like clowns. Kamala Harris showed what that looks like when she took on so many of the Trump administration's positions from 2020 in her 2024 race against Donald Trump. She lost. People need to be earnest and remember that voters are not that fucking stupid. Stop treating voters like they can't understand anything, okay? Just run a campaign that is issue focused, that actually presents your position, your worldview, regardless of whatever the fucking attacks are, and just stand 10 toes down on it, okay? You need to stop being afraid to lead. This is a major issue. People can see the disingenuous ways in which your advocacy is simply for immediate electoral gain. They can recognize that. You look indecent. You look like a clown when you're so flimsy and wishy-washy on your positions. Republicans on the other side, no matter how radical or how insane their positions might be, are unironically saying, no, this is what I believe. And slowly but surely, they are able to make other people believe their worldview. Okay? They look like they're true believers. That's it. It might be insane, and it certainly is, actually. It's not even it might be insane. It certainly is insane. The notion that, like, you know, transgender athletes is like the number one problem facing American society. That's a fucking psychotic position, right? Like, that's psychotic. But they are able to earnestly communicate their psychotic ways in which they operate. They're like, no, this is what I believe. I'm a crazy person. I'm crazy. I think all immigrants are rapists. I'm crazy. And slowly but surely, with no opposition whatsoever from the other side, from the Democrats, people become more crazy. I hate the pundit speak from the left. It removes the principles, objectives of politicians who are supposed to work for it. This isn't a board game. I mean, I'm not even doing pundit speak under normal circumstances. This is just like, that's why I always say there is a moral argument you can make, but then there's also a amoral, calculated, cynical argument you can make for the fucking politicians who don't listen. That's why I always say, like, I'm putting on my DNC advisor hat on. Okay? I've done this. I've done this with Israel. I did this throughout the entire election campaign, like throughout the entire general election. I said, there is an argument that I can present to any Democrat that will hear that actually boosts their favorability, okay? That will help them win the election.